And now a word from our Awakened Radio sponsors. AwakenedRadio.net is brought to you by AwakenedRadio.net host and those who support our station by shopping at our Awakened store and by making loving contributions and donations to our station each month. We are also supported by TheBarefootGuru.com. Thank you so much for your love and support of the Awakened Radio Network at AwakenedRadio.net.
Welcome to your Unfolding Senses. I'm your host, Ragozzine, and on this show, we'll be exploring everything intuition. Let's get started. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the show. Remember, you can always join us by calling in at 334-649-7204 or calling in via Skype at Awakened Radio or joining us in the live chat room at awakenedradio.net. Tonight we're going to try a new experiment. We're going to do a meditation, so make sure you're comfortable before we begin and sit down or lie down and be comfortable. It'll be about 5-10 minutes, and we'll do a little meditation to connect with our intuition. Okay, close your eyes and focus on your breath, breathing in and breathing out. And on the out breath, feel any tension that you might be holding on to draining away. It might take 2 or 3 breaths. It might take 5 or 6, but that's okay. Just take your time. Settle into the chair or settle into the floor or the bed, wherever you're lying or sitting down. Make sure that you're comfortable. Just continue to breathe and relax. As you feel more settled, feel into your body and feel your inner energy pulsing throughout your whole body. Notice how this feels. And know that you can connect to this whenever you want it, whenever you need it. Just feel it flowing. And again, as you're breathing and feeling into your body, notice that your body is loosening, your muscles are relaxing, tensions fading. Just let it go. Now imagine seeing yourself in a large and comfortable space. Gently and easily encircle yourself with a golden globe of your own inner strength and energy. See how brilliant and vibrant you look. Let your light fill the whole space, and as you do, notice that there's other people here too. You might also notice shelves of books or other things circling the room. Now, as you see the other people, you recognize them. They're everyone listening tonight. Reach out. Reach with your hands to the people next to you, and everyone join hands. We're all connected. We're all here now. Now feel and send comfort, vitality, strength to the others in the circle. Feel them doing the same. Feel your energy and theirs pulsing through the circle. We're all here to open to our own inner wisdom and inner intelligence. As you look around, you might notice an orb of light, a circle of light near everyone's forehead. Realize this is your third eye, and you can feel yours pulsating with intensity, and realize it connects you to a deeper knowing and understanding. Know that you can connect to it whenever you want. Right now, as you're standing there, you might bring your hands close to your forehead and feel its vibrancy. Let whatever symbols, sensations, sounds, colors, shapes come to you as you do this. You might even ask it a question, but if you're not ready to do so, don't do that. You can also see others going to shelves around the room for the books or other objects, and these might contain answers for them and you too. Spend some time here getting to know these people, getting to know the space, and when you're ready, you can come back to your body in the here and now and realize that you can come back here to this space to connect with your intuition whenever you need to. But for now, know that the world is bigger, deeper, and more mysterious than you realize. You might spend some time here asking a question and waiting for an answer tonight, or you might come back to us. When you're ready, feel yourself reconnecting to your physical body in the room. Feel your feet, legs, torso, arms, hands, fingers tingling. You might begin to wiggle them to better step back into your body. Feel connected to it and feel fully grounded. And let the scene slowly fade and slowly open your eyes, knowing that you're still connected to the others and to your intuitive powers here. And you can go back whenever you need to. But also that you can always connect to your inner wisdom whenever, wherever you are. It's in your power. So you can use this short guided meditation to connect in to your intuition, connect in to other people doing the same thing, and recognize that there's power there for you, but that you always have it. So that's short enough that you can do that sitting in your car or as you get up in the morning, and if you want to ask a question for the day, just tune in, connect in, ask your question, and see what comes to you, and then work with that. It might, like I mentioned, be a simple color or a shape or a sound.
Hi there.
Hi.
I had spoken with Rob on Twitter, and he said that I could call into the show tonight to...
Let me ask the caller to please mute the player. Wherever you are on the website or whatever, please mute that player or close that page. There you go. Thank you.
Okay.
Hello?
Hello? Is this Rob?
Yes, this is Rob.
Hi, it's Paula.
Hi, Paula.
I was calling in to ask my question about my boyfriend, Grant.
Sure.
Okay. I'm in this relationship with Grant, and he's quite a bit younger than me. He adores me, and he's very committed to the relationship, but I'm a little concerned, number one, about the age difference, or and a few other issues. Wondering if this is really the relationship that I should be committing to myself, or not.
Now, you had asked about compatibility.
Yeah.
And numerology certainly can give you compatibility, but of course you have other issues that really need to be worked through before anything can really happen, I feel.
Okay.
Well, one is, have you really sat down and really felt into this situation yourself?
Yes, and I don't think that the age itself is really what's bothering me. Sometimes he uses poor judgment, which might be a result of his age, and that could change. And he also struggles with alcoholism. He recently went to detox, and he tells, he's away on a trip right now, but he tells me that he's been, clean since then. So if that's the case, and if that's going to continue, then that's one issue that won't be an issue for me, and maybe that will also correct the bad judgment issue as well. But, he does make me feel wonderful, and that's a good thing. You don't have that all the time in relationships. I'm 100% secure in my relationship, which is another wonderful thing. I'm just struggling with those few other issues, the age, the bad judgments, and the possibility of if this drinking were to continue to be a problem.
Those are some big issues.
Yes. Yes, they are. And I'm not a spring chicken myself. Obviously, I'm like 43. So, I think to myself, if I'm not going to stay in this relationship, I don't really have a lot of time left. You know what I mean?
We have the time that we have, really, and what gets us all mucked up is worrying that there's nothing if we make a choice, like to give something up, that there'll be nothing after that. But really, the only way to see is to let something else come in, to allow it to come in. So right now, nothing's there because you're not willing to let this situation go. But I'm not saying that you should. I'm saying to ask yourself, first, how does it feel? And second, to listen to what you just told me. Those are some, as I said, those are some big issues. Before we can even get to compatibility, we have to look at these issues, because it doesn't matter if you're compatible if these issues are going to get in the way of the relationship. And they're already nagging at you. The doubts are there, so it's best to find. You can ask other people about it, but I think you really need to sit down with yourself and to ask yourself whether you're willing to make the sacrifice to stay with the relationship and deal with these issues or not. And ask yourself if he's willing to be totally honest with you.
Right. And, if all I wanted from a relationship was to feel loved and feel secure and good sex, things like that, if that was all I needed in a relationship, I would definitely stay with him without a question. I don't know, I'm a full-grown adult, and I have, I'm a professional person. I sometimes might need to go to an office party or a special event, and I need to be able to bring someone with me who's going to behave appropriately. And so there's other things that I'm concerned about. What is your intuition telling you?
Well, I've already talked about some of the things that my intuition was saying. It's he's almost a crutch. That's the symbol that I get.
Okay.
Now, I don't know if that's bad or good, but I also see there's other people connected to this. So it's already a messy situation. Yes.
There is someone I know who I actually think might be my ideal match. and I know that this other person is definitely attracted to me, but for whatever reason has not made a move.
Maybe he knows about the other person.
He does know about the other person. He definitely does.
Maybe it's time to sit down with this person, have an honest conversation, tell them whatever you need to tell them. I mean, that's how relationships really function. Is honesty is the core part of any relationship. Without it, you don't have a relationship.
Right.
And if you can't be honest with the first guy, how can you be honest with the second guy? You probably have to sit down with guy number one first and say, I don't know how to deal with this. That's the most honest thing you can say. I don't know how to deal with this. I don't know how I can trust you. I don't know how I can bring you to work functions.
Yeah.
You don't instill confidence in me.
Okay.
Now, it might take some compassion for yourself on your part. That's the biggest thing. Maybe to just start working on compassion for yourself. Now, I mentioned this on some previous shows. You probably haven't listened. And a really good exercise that's taught by Pema Chodron is a simple breathing exercise where you breathe in pain or whatever's bothering you. So this is doubt. So breathe in doubt and then transform it to knowing and breathe it out. So it's breathing in something that's dark and heavy and troublesome, and then transforming it in your heart and breathing it out as something that's joyful and pleasant, and that might help to change the situation. Of course, real action's important too, but it's a process by which you can connect better with yourself and then really the other people in your life, because you're developing compassion for yourself, and then you'll have it bigger for others too. I'm not saying you don't have it. I'm saying it's a way to connect to it on a deeper level. Okay. Does that make sense?
I will try that. Yes, I will try that.
Do you have any other questions?
No, that's it. Thank you very much, sir.
I hope that helps. I really recommend just sitting down with the first gentleman and really having an honest conversation and see where it goes from there. Maybe it means that's a step towards deepening it. That's really, I think, all that you need to do. And see what happens. It's stepping past that fear of having that conversation. And then maybe that opens...
I am a little afraid of having the conversation, and I think that's why I haven't, done that. But, yes, I will do that when he gets back from his trip.
Well, good luck.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Something I didn't talk about there that I probably should have is the shadow, which we'll get more into later in the show or in another show, but it's really what you're projecting onto others and things that you tend not to see in yourself or don't want to see in yourself, both the good and the bad. So we often put a lot of our good stuff out onto other people and see it only in them, but fail to recognize that it's in us, that we're powerful, that we're beautiful. But for now, I want to try an exercise that I think is really neat. I've set my desktop to a historical, famous place. Not going to say where, but it's up to you to guess where it's set to tonight, and I'll announce it later in the show, or you can post it in the chat room or call in and announce it. So I have it up, and it's there, a nice sunny day there, so you can try to guess what that is, connect with your intuition, and make a guess. Maybe post it in the chat room or call in and say, hey, I think it's this place, or ask for a hint. Maybe I'll give you one, but I think you can guess. And let's get into the meat here. Talking about dreaming, we dream about 2 to 4 hours each night, and just that 2 hours can add up to about 51,000 hours if we live to about 70. So that's really an intriguing fact to think about and to wonder, well, what are all these dreams about? Now, I don't have all the answers about what they're about. I can help you to help yourself with these dreams, and by looking at your dreams or looking at tarot or working with myths and stories, you can find meaning in your life, and that's really what the gist of the show is about, is trying to make your life special, open to the deeper mystery. And someone guessed the Taj Mahal in the chat room, and thanks for that guess, but nope, it's not the Taj Mahal. Now, I got some emails this week for the Q&A, and the first question is, I want to access my intuition, but I feel like a big dumb idiot. I try to meditate, but end up just staring into space. So at the beginning of this show, we did a guided meditation, which is really short and very simple. And you might try to do that one, and you can do that pretty much almost anywhere because it's quick and it's fast, and see what comes up for you. That might work. I also really recommend finding a way to study it on a regular basis, and it doesn't have to be like going to school. It could be fun. It could be exciting. And it might just be picking up a tarot deck or working with stones or studying shamanism or runes or dowsing. Try something and see if it fits for you and continue to work with it. And log your studies and experiments and see what happens. And use it in your daily life. So use it every day. And then if you're doing readings, do readings for yourself and friends and family and others and see how that works. Question number 2 tonight is, I had a dream about being lost in the fog. It feels like my life constantly is feeling confused and I don't know what to do. Well, try some of the things I've mentioned previously. I talked about my dream about the frozen food box in the oven and how that led me to really look at eating more fresh foods, more foods that I prepared myself rather than a dead cardboard box. And also recognizing what's blocking you, and again kind of looking at the shadow and how that might be tripping you up, and we'll talk more about that later in the show, and more about looking at art as well, and working with things like mandalas or just being creative and seeing what comes out. Now, if you have any questions, you can call into the show at 334-649-7204 or Awaken Radio via Skype or awakenradio.net and join us in the chat room. And we had one caller tonight already, and I'm really appreciative that she called in. Hope I helped her. And if you have any suggestions about things you'd like to study but don't know how, you can call in and I can give you suggestions and we can talk about it. Right now, I'd like to talk a little bit about the shadow. And really, as I was mentioning before, it's the parts of yourself that are hidden away within your unconscious. They may be positive, they might be negative. And it's all that stuff that we've repressed, forgotten about, or denied. And it's really, Carl Jung said you must really get in touch with your shadow before you can truly get in touch with your true self. And he defined it as the first act of courage. And it's really the first thing that's necessary to do around it is simply to say, well, yeah, I do that. I do pretend that I'm not skilled at something or I'm not powerful at something so I can fit in, or just because my parents told me, or whatever. It might have been something that your parents told you at a young age, or somebody in power at a young age told you that people don't do that or whatever, and you, in order to fit in, you pretended that you weren't good enough, or whatever it is. It's something that you probably did to fit in or don't value about yourself. You're allowed to guess more than once, sure. In the chat room we got a question about the historical place that I was talking about, and you can guess more than once, so feel free to call in with a guess. And I've set a picture to my desktop, and it's a nice sunny day there, and very popular place. So we had a guess that it was the Taj Mahal, but it's not that. Now, well, back to the shadow, it's really about accepting all the different aspects of your personality. and accepting and admitting that certain, qualities or characteristics are in you rather than sweeping it under the rug. We're trying to accept ourselves and all the things about ourselves that are both good and bad, and it might take time, it might take compassion. But the goal in all of this is really to recognize that we're really far, far more powerful and more able than we give ourselves credit. And it's often that we tend to see the parts of ourselves that we don't accept about ourselves in others. So when we're pointing a finger at someone and saying, he's so mean, she's so, bitchy or annoying or whatever it is, whenever we're pointing that finger out, there's that common saying that we're pointing 3 fingers back at ourselves, and it's very true. We're pointing fingers at ourselves. So we first have to look at what that person triggers in ourselves and claim that about ourselves and acknowledge that, yeah, we do have those tendencies that we see in that other person. And recognize that that's okay, but we can work on it. We can take steps to alleviate that and find a way to heal if it's something that we perceive as bad or unwanted. And then when you see the shadow in others, as I said, you're projecting it out onto other people. And when someone really annoys you, look to see where that's in you. And that may be because of unmet needs, fear, shame, whatever. The first step is to have compassion for that other person that you're projecting onto and yourself. And maybe because you've really learned that was the only way that you could do it, by pushing away these things. And after break, we'll talk more about this. We have, 2 or 3 minutes to break. So you might call in after break at 334-649-7204 or connect with Skype. Awaken Radio is the connection, or join us at awakenradio.net. In the forums tonight, I've posted my links to my Facebook sites and my Twitter sites, and you can read some posts that I talked about what I was planning on discussing here, and it links to a good article about the shadow that I've posted and how to work with your dreams. So you can ask questions there too, and link to my Twitter and Facebook sites and my blog, and I hope that helps. And if you have any questions, you can post right here on Awaken Radio, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So with that in mind, I think we're pretty close to break, so I'll leave us.
And now a word from our Awakened Radio sponsors. Awakened Radio is brought to you proudly by the Creative Playground Mastermind. You can take part in a mastermind group by visiting www.thebarefootguru.com. The Creative Mastermind Group helps you to create a playground where you get to experience your life the way you really want it to be. Thank you so much, and visit www.thebarefootguru.com today. Hello, this is Donna Devane, the Barefoot Guru station owner, right here at awakenedradio.net. Thank you so much for supporting us through listening, joining us live in our chat room, taking part in our forums right here at our website. And we've got a brand new way for you to support our station, the Awakened Store. In it, you will find stones and crystals, dream catchers, books on healing, courses, classes, one-on-one healing and psychic sessions with our host. There's a lot more headed your way at awakenedradio.net. Remember, we are totally a listener and host supported radio station. Join us. Let your voice be heard. Host a show. Support our host. Help us by sharing our links and writing a review for our website at Alexa. That link can be found on our home page. Thank you again. Thank you so much for taking part and helping us grow. Everything that we have done, and we've done a lot, has been the result of all of us working together so that we can all thrive and all be successful. That's what Awakened Radio is all about. Thank you, I love you.
Ho, ho, ho! Santa listens to Awakened Radio, and so should you.
Welcome to your Unfolding Senses. I'm your host, Ragozzine, and on this show, we'll be exploring everything intuition. Let's get started. Hello, we're back. Remember, you can contact us via Skype at Awakened Radio or dialing in at 334-649-7204 or joining us at awakenedradio.net and coming to the chat room. And we've had 2 more guesses as to where my secret location is that I gave a hint to at the beginning of the show. It's not the Eiffel Tower or Gaza, but the Eiffel Tower is a really good guess. So I said keep that idea in mind, and it's really a good connection with your intuition because my place is, I want to say, has a similar architecture. So there's a hint for you. Now we're back to talking about the shadow, and I was talking about we developed a lot of our shadow as children, and we're told things like be a man, or good girls don't do that, or man up, or crying is for babies, or make do, or any number of phrases that cause us to push things aside or push them down, and then we forget about them and it causes trouble or issues later on. So after we hear things like this enough, we begin to feel conflicted and confused, and we don't know what to do with, the Space Needle is exactly right. You've guessed it. Bing, bing, bing. I don't have any prize for you tonight, but you can feel the joy at connecting with your intuition. And someone said that they guessed the Space Needle but didn't mention it. Well, that's it. It's the Space Needle. So recognize, I guess, that when you're connecting to your intuition, you'll be getting different signs and symbols, and sometimes they don't make sense to you, but just record them, log them some way, and work with whatever you get. And over time, you'll begin to recognize you might get certain symbols that mean something, a particular thing. Like you might get a key, and that might mean that you're close to discovering a new truth or something. Or you might get a bucket of water that might mean that you're going to go to a party or something. It really is different for everyone. And you have to pay attention to your own signs and symbols. But just pay attention to what you're getting as you're connecting to your intuition, and log the particular symbols that you're getting, as I've mentioned before, and see what they refer to, see how you connect. It might not be that you get any symbols at all, but you might connect with smells, or you might connect with sounds. You might have connected with rain, for instance, for the Space Needle. So just notice whatever symbols that you're getting and pay attention to them and see how they might help you in the future. Now, back to the shadow. And so we don't really know what to do with all these unwanted emotions and behaviors that we're, especially at a young age, and we try to hide all this stuff. We stuff it down. In psychology, we might call it a big bag that we're stuffing all this stuff into. And then we begin to disown it, reject it, or lose parts of ourselves. And then we become fragmented. So it's really about reclaiming these parts of ourselves. We might do that through psychology or studying Buddhism or shamanism or any number of ways. Whatever works is best for you is probably what you should work with. Jung says, but what if I should discover that very enemy himself is within me, that I myself am the enemy who must be loved? What then? Well, that's our question. How do we love ourselves? So it's really about finding a way to work with the shadow, and that might be through a personal exploration around psychology or Buddhism or compassion, if we're talking about Buddhism, and just working with compassion on a daily basis. And that might start by you doing a simple meditation and imagine yourself sending compassion to yourself. And I believe Pema Chodron talks about this too. And you start with yourself and then work up to sending it to someone that you're close with, and then gradually work out to people that you might be having difficulty with, and gradually make it a harder and harder person that you find you can't deal with at all. So you start with yourself and work out to people that you connect with, but might have small issues and then bigger and bigger issues. And that might be one way to begin to work with the shadow. It's really about integrating all the parts of yourself, which means accepting yourself and allowing everything to have a proper expression. So it's finding ways to express whatever is inside in a way that's healthy and constructive, rather than blowing up and exploding on people. So that can really be life-enhancing and increase your happiness. Now, one way to do that might be by working with art. And I really wanted to talk about mandalas tonight. And that working with them, and I've been reworking with them for about a month now. I've studied them in the past, but I've really started to just get into the flow and start to draw with pencils and pens, colored pencils and pens, which has led me to explore them with colored clays. And I've just started to do that. Like I said, everything is an exploration. We're all learning, and I'm really starting to see where the mandala is leading me. And it's really neat if you get the chance to watch monks build them with sand. A lot of times they'll come to a local university and at certain times of the year and create them, and then when they're done building them, they take them apart and empty the sand into a local river. And it's all about having the patience to build it, and the compassion and the time and the willingness to dedicate yourself to such an art. And they do a fantastic job, and it's awesome to be in their presence. But we can do this for ourselves. And it's really about connecting to both the inner and the outer world on a whole different level. And once you start working with them, you'll really start to notice them pretty much everywhere, not only perhaps in holy places like churches or nature, wherever, they're everywhere. You might see them in a dome. You might see them the stained glass windows in cathedrals, Native American pottery, Hindu art, gardens for meditation, even Buddhist art that's used as sort of meditative or teaching practices. Carl Jung began to work with them when he realized that what he thought our culture was washing away from washing away the spiritual from daily life. I see in the chat room that someone said, when I looked at the picture and stated you were close, I guess he's talking about how close I was hinting or something, I'm not sure. Well, anyway, back to Carl Jung. During World War I and II, he noticed important symbols like churches and religious sites being destroyed, so he began to wonder how he can connect with what was lost, and he began to notice circles appearing in his dreams, and he eventually connected the circle and the mandala with a way to reconnect to his inner life and the greater mysteries of inner and the outer world. But it really wasn't until he went to India that he noticed how they worked. So they started appearing in dreams, and then later on, when he went to India, he noticed how important they were, and he had just started sketching the images from his dreams without really knowing what purpose they served. And then when he began traveling there, he recognized he was creating them, and he began to learn about how they connected to wholeness and healing and insight. So if you've seen the sand mandalas, you don't have to create something that intricate, but you can start with something simple. Perhaps I have a book on my desk by Judith Cornell that walks through some simple exercises, and she even provides some blank paper and colored pencils, and you might work with that or someone else that writes about them. If you do a search online, you can find tons of books that are they're all awesome. And you might even notice that if you've done any shamanic work or Native American studies, it kind of relates to the medicine wheel. So you might go out and, after some study, and build one of those in your backyard, for instance, or make a small one, whatever's easiest for you. But it's, as I said before, they're everywhere, and you might find a way to work with them, as I've begun to do, and start out by going on walks and collecting small stones or shells or twigs, whatever, and start to make mandalas out of that. So it doesn't have to be pencil and pen or crayon or ink or whatever. They can be 3D, or they can be out of sand, or they can be out of clay, they can be out of tiles, whatever you'd like to make them out of. They can really be made out of that. And there's really not any particular form that you have to pay attention to, other than starting out with a basic circle and then perhaps putting an image or shape or texture at each of the four directions and the center of the circle. And it's all about centering and grounding and healing. And Judith Cornell talks about how she notes that when people take her classes, they begin to deepen a connection to their own inner lives as they begin to work with mandalas on a regular basis. So you can simply start out really by jotting out some images on a piece of paper and make sure that they, of course, are centered and follow a circular pattern, but that's pretty much the basic guidelines, and you don't really have to follow any particular framework. And I just started out by just remembering images I drew as a child. I remember drawing circles connected with lines. Don't know why, but that's what I would always do. And Donna in the chat room mentions that she uses sumo.fm to make really pleasing graphics. I don't know if that's a website or an application, but I guess you can do a search. I guess it's a website, she says. So you can use that. It's free and fun, so you can use something like that to make graphics if you don't feel like you can draw very well. I took art in high school, but I still don't think I can draw very well. But I still try to draw and do the best that I can. It's really about the exploration. It's not about what it looks like. It's also about the patience and taking the time to do the exploration and see where it leads you, but it's not ultimately about what it looks like. But again, ultimately, what it looks like will be totally awesome if you just spend the time to work with it as needed and as you feel called to do it. It's not something that you sit down and finish in 5 minutes. And then when you do finish a piece, go to your journal and explain how the symbolism fits into your life and keep a log of that and see if you're getting intuitive hits around the mandala or you're including symbolism from your life in the mandala and see how they mirror each other. And Carl Jung says in his book, Memories, Dreams, and Reflections, I knew that in finding the mandala as an expression of the self, I had attained what was for me the ultimate. So, a simple way to do this might be to, as I said, make a little medicine wheel for yourself. And depending on which particular culture you study, East could be fire or passion. The South could represent water or emotion. West is earth, grounding and healing. And the North is air and knowledge. And the center is the upper world and the lower world. Not necessarily heaven and hell, but just really more about connecting to your guides and your inner life. And I recommend really finding a particular culture to study. You might read some books by Black Elk, for instance, or some of the South American tribes, and of course some of the cultures ascribe the elements to different directions. But what I've studied is the East relates to fire, South is water, West is earth, and North is air. But it's mixed up just in the different cultures. So whatever works for you, and if you studied something different, use that, and that can help you to really to connect to your inner life and to begin to shift things around on an unconscious level, so that you won't have to do so much work struggling to figure out what do I have to change. The artwork helps you to make the shifts that are necessary, and working with mandalas is one way to do that. Perhaps you paint, perhaps you draw, perhaps you work with clay. Those are really good ways to work with not only whatever inner issues you have, but work with the images in your dreams. So if you're having a particular trouble working with and understanding a particular dream, begin to incorporate those images in your art. So back to what to do about your dreams and how to understand them. Well, the art is one way, and working with the mandalas, but also to realize that you don't want to get stuck in the theme of the dream. So simply to step back and ask, what is the dream suggesting I do, for instance? Where is it leading me? And keep in mind that there's always many layers. So for my dream, it was really suggesting to me on the outer layer to talk about, cutting up fresh food, for instance. But there's deeper layers, and it's obviously paying attention to local community and supporting food co-ops, for instance, and really getting involved with that. So your dreams of course, will have similar but also different themes. And they may also be talking about abilities. So you might look to see, well, this is, for instance, mine was a food dream, so looking at cooking ability, for instance, but other abilities, in yourself. So asking yourself, as we're thinking back to about the shadow, do others see some talent, skill, or ability in you? And do you acknowledge what they see? So that's two really good questions to focus on as you work with your dreams and begin to pay attention to their symbolism and begin to incorporate it into your art. Now, if you have any questions about what we're talking about, you can call in at 334-649-7204 or join us in the chat room at awakenradio.net or Skype and connect with Awakened Radio. Really, tonight we're trying to be all-encompassing and focus on some of the things that might be blocking us to connecting with our intuition and connecting with our dreams and not feeling like you're hitting a wall and just throwing up your hands, but recognizing that you have tools that you can work with, like the tarot, like the runes, or various lines of study, like shamanism or psychology or Buddhism or myth, whatever it is. It ultimately can really lead back to deepening your connection to yourself and deepening your connection ultimately to your intuition. And it's just that a lot of times you've just blocked your connection to your inner you. So by going in, you're in a dark room trying to move around boxes. So looking at the shadow helps turn on a light and to recognize some of the things that might be in your way. We're really just looking to connect with ourselves in whatever way that can help you. And the shadow is one tool, and a lot of times it will lead you to other work, perhaps finding a support group or perhaps finding a therapist or a counselor. Whatever you feel called to do, go do that, as long as it's helping you take healthy and constructive steps forward. It'll help you to connect to yourself and then to deepen your connection to your intuition. So art is one way to connect not only with your intuition but also to connect with yourself. And the mandala is a really simple way and a really easy way, but it also helps to really allow you to let go of your worry about the how. How do I do this? It lets you to step into a kind of a mysterious process and step away from thinking and more into just being in that creative space. And for some people, maybe the art isn't the way, but perhaps maybe connecting with music or dance or movement or something of that nature might help. But you might try to begin to work with the art as a way for shifting and moving things, turning a light on that dark room and shifting the boxes around. And anyway, I wanted to mention that it relates to a Sanskrit word that relates to the word circle. So that's kind of neat. And that really surprised me when I first heard that. And it's kind of related to the whole process is kind of circular. Your starting point is your ending point, but it's not a straight line to get there. So again, I mentioned earlier in the show that you can connect with me via the forum here on awakenradio.net, and I posted links to my Twitter accounts and my Facebook accounts and my blog. I have a post there about working with your dreams, understanding your shadow, and that's all in that one post, so that you can go there and ask questions. And feel free to connect with me if you have a question and go there. We only have about 5 minutes left tonight, so we really don't have time to answer any questions, but you can go to the forum and post a question there, or you can go to my website and sign up for my newsletter, and that's every couple of months or so. And you can also connect to my email from there. It's contactrob@simplynumbers.com, or you can just contact me from my website, or contact me here on Awaken Radio and post a question, or join us in the chat room, or call us next week if you have a particular question about dreams, or you begin to work with art or mandalas in particular. You might call in and talk about that next week. But the real key, I think, is to begin to find a way to connect on a daily basis with your intuition. As I mentioned earlier in the show, you might work with any number of the tools like runes or tarot or dowsing, or just doing the short, simple 5-minute meditation that we talked about, and connect. Go in, set an intention, go in and ask a question, see what answer you might guess, and know that it might not be hearing the answer, it might be seeing the answer, it might be feeling the answer, it might be a color, it might be a shape, it might be a taste, a smell. Just connect with your intuition with whatever way it comes. And I went through the exercise of finding the space needle, and recognize, if you recognized any hits that you got during that exercise, that's the same in everyday life. Just to recognize that you're getting a hit, and to ask, well, what does that mean? You might have seen something tall, for instance, and some people guessed the Eiffel Tower, and I said, well, that's close structure. So again, just recognizing that you're getting an intuitive hit and working with it in some way, maybe even logging it and coming back to it later. So again, if you have a question, you can contact me in the forums here at awakenradio.net. You can call in next week with a question. You can contact me at Twitter and ask me a question there. DM me on Twitter, or connect with me on Facebook, like my Facebook page. I still need quite a few likes for my Awaken Radio page, so like me on Facebook and ask your questions, and I'll try to work with them on the show, especially if you have something you'd like to study. I'd like to talk more about mandalas. So I've been exploring them. You might try to explore them too, and see how you might use your artwork to connect with your dreams by incorporating the symbols that you're getting in your dreams. And it's about time to go. We've got less than minutes. So thank you for your time this week. I enjoyed talking with you. I hope you enjoyed listening. Thanks for participating with the intuition game. We'll try something different next week. Have a good week, and thank you for tuning in.
And Santa Claus will be at Awakened Radio Network December 14th from 7 to 9 p.m. Central. He will be taking the phone calls of all boys and girls all around the world. So be sure to join us December the 14th from 7 to 9 p.m. Central at awakenedradio.net. You'll see the link to our live chat room at the top of our page. You can also call in by adding Awakened Radio to Skype or dialing 334-649-7204. Happy holidays, everyone.
Ho, ho, ho! Santa listens to Awaken Radio, and so should you.